Hi everyone, today I'm going to share with you another excellent product coming from Lian, known as the O11D EVO RGB. In fact, the characteristic or the structure is similar to the EVO, but this case here have some enhancement and some details that Lian have done. Before I begin, I'd like to thank Lian to have provided this case for me to share with you guys, and to Block Soda to have done the arrangement on the delivery. I will first start off with the measurement of this case. For the depth of this case, starting from the front all the way to the back, this is at 478mm. From the top to the bottom where the feet is 471mm. The gap over here is 20mm. And as for the front, the width from here to here is 290mm. As for the exterior of this case, be it the front or the side, both are tempered glass. Is slightly tinted black, and the thickness of both tempered glass is at 4mm. And if you notice, right, at the top and at the bottom you have these white lines over here which follow through all the way to the front. These are in fact the ARGB strips which they have added on this case. And at the side to my extreme right, where you have this panel follow through the top, these are made of aluminium, and it has a brushed aluminium pattern. Over at this end, you have the whole metal panel where you have two sections over here which are mesh holes for ventilation of air. At the rear, starting from the left, they have done the enhancement where you have the hard disk caddy over here, right, protruding outwards. Same goes to the PSU slot. And speaking about the cutouts, as you can see, I glide my fingers. As usual, Lian has always done this on all their cases. You won't get cut that easily or to hurt your fingers. Now this is the rear I/O cutout for your motherboard. There are a total of 7 expansion slots, and as you can see over here, right, these are all the mesh honeycomb holes, whereby more air, or should I say warm air, exhausting from the rear. And at this section, right, you will be able to mount a 120mm fan. Now, to remove off all the panels of this case itself, starting from the top, you will need to unscrew these two thumb screws. There's a catch over here, just pull it towards you, and this will be removed. Next will be the side tempered glass. Now for the side tempered glass, right, please be careful when you're handling the tempered glass. See this gap over here? Place your thumb over here, and to support the tempered glass, then you pull it out. Now when you're pulling it out, right, this is just an illustration, please do not do this. Make sure you are holding the glass. If not, right, take a look at what happened. See, this thing will drop. So make sure you hold on to the tempered glass and don't let it drop. As what I show you, right, okay, probably show you how it's being placed back. There are 2 notches over here, so it goes to the hinge at the bottom. So when you place it back, right, just solid where it is, and to clip it on at the top, and make sure you clip it firmly. Now as to remove, as mentioned to you, thumb at this area, okay, where you grab, then the other finger, right, or should I say the other hand, right, supporting this. And do not leave your fingers or hand, right, away from the glass itself, because I showed you earlier this will drop. So make sure that you hold on it and pull it up. Next, for the front, do the same. Thumb again, okay, supporting your tempered glass. Do not just let go, right, this will fall. So just pull it out. And to put it back, right, it's the same mechanism where you have 2 hinge over here, right, the catch towards the bottom, 2 slots, and there are clips over here. Oh, I forgot to mention that for the side tempered glass, right, you have this clips over here to clip on, and guiding notch. Now as for the side, same thing from the back, you can just pull. But when you pull, right, do not just pull one way. make sure the other finger over here, I mean the other hand, right, is holding this side. Then leave it up. This will expose the cable management area. This is how the top looks like before I remove the top cover, where you have full mesh holes where you can ventilate warm air off when you place the fans or the radiator fans, where it pushes the hot air out. Now when you are removing, it's pretty straightforward, but when you place it back, right, align it properly, and you will need to have some strength to push it back, to align back to the case itself. And speaking of which, right, this top tray here in fact is protruding upwards, so it allows you to place thicker radiator. And to remove off this tray, right, if you notice over here, there's one screw over here, there's one screw over here, which I've taken off. Alright, the screws are over here. They are pretty big, so you don't have to worry that you will lose them. Then as to remove this tray here, right, you just need to grab it out. And to put it back, right, take a look at this over here and this over here. So you align it to the case, and to put it back, see, this is in place, and you tighten the screws. This is the interior of the case, where it enables you to mount an eATX motherboard all the way to an ITX motherboard. There are a total of 6 rubber grommets, 2 at the top, 2 at the side, 2 at the bottom. For fan configuration, at the top, at the side, or at the bottom, all this share the same configuration, where you can mount 3 times 120mm fans or 3 times 140mm fans. As for the rear, you are only able to mount a 120mm fan. For radiator placement, be it the top, the side, and the bottom, same thing, they share the configuration, as in able to mount 240, 280, or even a 360. Now, exceptional on the top itself, if you want to mount a 420 radiator, you are able to do so, but you will need to remove off the top tray and to make use of the brackets that is provided in this case, which I will show you later. As I show you how to dismount the top tray, whereby you can place your radiator and your fans before you place it back to the case. For the bottom section, you can dismount it too. All is needed, if you take a look, this is a thumb screw. Just unscrew this thumb screw, remove it off totally. Once you've done that, right, for this tray, right, just push forward. So when you push forward, right, you can just leave it up. See? Then you'll be able to mount the radiator and your fans. Now speaking of which, right, this is protruding upwards, and with the gap right over here, right, with this protruding up, this is total of 10mm. So plus the gap at the bottom, which is 20, plus 10, total is 30mm. Now to place this tray back, there is a hook over here, and there's a hook over here, and at the bottom, right, there are 2 holes over here. This is for you to match the hook. Then once you have aligned it properly, right, push the tray back. So once you have pushed the tray back, right, you'll be able to fasten this or tighten this whole tray with the thumb screw, and this will be in place and you will not go anywhere. Now besides the bottom tray, right, the side tray is able to remove too. To remove the side tray, what you need to do is to swivel to the back where you expose the cable management area. First thing to do is to press this button or a lever, push it down, and to pull the tray out. See, this is taken off, and to leave it up. So the whole tray is dismantled. You can make use of these 2 trays over here, whereby you're supposed to place fans and radiator, but if you do not want to use fans or radiator, right, you can make use of this tray to place additional storage. You'll be able to place 2 3.5-inch hard disks or 3 SSD, which is 2.5 inch. In the event if you want to make use of this as a radiator or fans, right, to be mounted, you have to remove off this 2 tray, and this 2 tray, right, each is with 2 clips. So you can just remove the clips by pressing this and to push the tray towards you, and this will be removed. And swivel all the way to the back, pull it out. See? And this is being catched, right? Same goes to the bottom. If you want to remove, just push this clip and to push the tray towards you, and this is off. Before showing you how to place this in, right, I would like to talk about the tray itself. If you are mounting a radiator or fans over this side and we place it back in, okay, assuming it's placed back in. Now, sometimes you might find that the radiator is too thick at the front. So what can you do? Instead of placing the tray this way, right, you can flip so that this thing, right, is indent in. So when you place your radiator, right, it will sink in towards the back instead of pushing to the front. If you were to do it this way, this is pushing the radiator towards the front. So we can just do it this way. And to mount this back, okay, to mount this tray back, right, there are 4 guiding notch where you slot here, 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 and here. Starting off with the bottom, with these 2 notch aligned to the slot over here, diagonally. Once it's in place, right, you can just push it back in. And this is in place. Now, as for the side tray, if you want to clip it back on, now take note on the last slot and also the holes over here. So in order for you to place this back, right, you using this tool here, the hinge, slot to the last slot and to swivel to close it. Okay, this is too big, should be here. See, once it's in place, right, you can clip it back on. So this is in place. Same goes to the bottom. Last slot again, using these 2 guiding hinge, slot to it, align it properly, and this is back in place. Just wanted to show you the capability of this EVO RGB, whereby I don't have a custom water loop, so I can't show you the radiator, but what I've done is to mount Liquid AIO that has very thick radiator and the fans. At the top, I'm making use of a Lian Galahad 2 performance, whereby the thickness of the radiator is at 30mm plus the fan, which is 28, total of 58mm at height. And take a look at the clearance. Plenty of clearance. It doesn't even hit your motherboard. It doesn't hit your RAMs. So you can place as much tall high RAMs you want, and how tall your VRAMs heatsink, it doesn't matter because it doesn't touch. And do note that this position of the motherboard is in this case called low mode. Let me just show you. See, this is at low mode, whereby if you want it to shift it up at upper mode, right, you will need to remove off this cap. Then you shift this up and to place this cap at the bottom. And the line for the upper portion, right, is in fact over here. So the line is down here, which is the motherboard top, right, will reach over here. Even if it reach over here, right, take a look. The Liquid AIO at the top, right, is not even hitting at all. No chance. There are a big gap. Even if I have to place a Liquid Freezer 2, right, which has a thickness of 63mm, right, not an issue. And measuring from here all the way to the top of the tray, okay, is 85mm. Plenty of room. And if you worry that, hey, I'm going to place a thick radiator and fans, right, will it hit my rear fan? Not at all. Take a look. Even if I were to shift this to the back, see, there are more than enough clearance. So it doesn't matter how you place your Liquid AIO at the top, as in like thick radiator or such, it doesn't block the way of your rear fan. Now moving at the side, this is an Arctic Liquid Freezer 2 AIO. and it has a thickness of 63mm. Now with this say, right, when I place this like this, see, it flushes. It doesn't go beyond the motherboard. In fact, it's below the motherboard level. And I measured from the tray, side tray, all the way to the motherboard rim is at 65mm. And if you have radiator of 60mm, right, yes, the radiator plus your fan will protrude out, but not forgetting, as I mentioned to you at the back, this tray here you're able to flip. And when you flip, right, and you place your radiator and fans, right, this whole thing will sink in, giving you more space. And as I measured from the tray that's flipped, this is 30mm plus the 65mm from the tray default to the motherboard. Okay, 65 plus 30, total you have 95mm of space to play with. Plenty of space. Next will be at the bottom, where I mount the Liquid AIO at the bottom, and this is always standard Liquid AIO that has a thickness of, together with the fan, the thickness of 53mm. And if you do not have enough space, right, let's say you're mounting a 60mm rad and it blocks the second PCIe slot, as this motherboard position is at its low mode, you can shift the motherboard up, so to give you more clearance. So you can definitely mount a 60mm rad with the fan and not obstructing the last PCIe slot. Now for the GPU itself, measuring from here to here, right, is ideal 420. So just to show you, from here to here is 420. And if you to mount anything below it, right, you'll be alright. And as for the clearance from here to here, right, is 168.5mm. And this applies to your air cooler. If you place an air cooler, right, do not exceed more than 167. As mentioned, that this case is able to cater a 420, which I only have the Arctic Liquid Freezer 420. And just as a size comparison, this at the top, this is a 360 and this is a 420. And with this case, right, it's provided with these two brackets. And how you mount it, there are directions. You see this over here? This should be outside, meaning to say placing over here. The arch will be a C, as you can see. So it will be this way, with the clip facing towards you. Next will be this, and that will be that, the other way. Okay, not this way. Okay, let me just move this aside. So as I mentioned to you, right, this with the clip should be facing towards the glass panel, at the side glass panel, so it should be this way. Then this will be this way, facing over here. I've done mounting, so this is how it looks like. Now the hose is at the bottom. See, with this mesh, right, as I mentioned that there's a clip over here, so this is towards the glass panel. At the back, it does not have that. So if you want to mount a 420, right, make sure you mount it this way. Now on with the top, and to show you how this has been done. Now to mount this 420, right, you have to leave the top tray secure at the top. You can't remove it. And as mentioned to you, right, this is the 420 with the clip over here. So I'm going to clip this to the slot over here. So I'll gently just move this to the case. Then once it's in place, right, I will have to push it up slowly. Then I'll try to grab the position. See, the clip is skipping to it. Same goes to the back. You need to hold on it and to screw in. Best to do it with 2 anchor points. So right now I have one, the other one at the further end. Okay, this is done. So right now I can just leave it and to screw the rest. And later on I'll show you how's the final result. This is how it looks like. The 420 Arctic liquid freezer 2 fit nicely. You can close both tempered glass, the side and the front, without any issues. And the pillar that is, or should I say the 2 brackets, right, that is mounted on this radiator, right, I know that it's pushing it down so that you can see the whole radiator plus your fans. Even with this height, which is at 63mm, right, not a problem. See, there are plenty of gap. And it's not hitting my RAMs, nor my VRMs. And best part, at the rear, you can place a 120mm fan, not an issue, just an illustration. See, I can fit. And even if, okay, this motherboard is in low mode. Even if I push it high mode, right, take a look at the alignment over here. It's just right below the fans, about few millimeter away. So definitely you can go high mode too. See? It doesn't touch the brim of the motherboard. Not at all. Fantastic. Before moving on to the cable management area, I'd like to talk about the switches, which is located quite at the top of the case, where you have first the power switch. You can toggle it this way to power up, or at the side, or even at the center. Next will be the reset switch, then followed by the ARGB mode switch. In the past, when you want to select certain ARGB effects, right, you have to keep on pressing the mode button. And if you miss it, right, you have to go another cycle. Else, for this case, right, they only have done this whereby you have the arrow up and arrow down. So let's say you press to the effect that you wanted, but it went to the next effect, and you want the previous one. So what you need to do is just to press the down button or arrow down. It will bring back to the previous ARGB effect. Nice touch. Next will be the color mode, whereby you select the colors as in like red, blue, green and white on your effects. And followed by brightness. This, when you press it, right, you will go bright to dim, dim to bright. This is the cable management area, whereby I did talk about the side tray where you can take it out. There are these 2 trays over here. If you do not intend to place any radiator or fans, you can leave it there and to hold more storage. Whereby I talk about it, you can hold 2 3.5-inch hard disks or 3 SSD, which is 2.5 inch. Coming to the center, where you can see this 2 portion over here, you can hold another 2 more 2.5-inch SSD. And when you open up this cover, right, by the way, this cover is held by 2 magnets at the top and at the bottom. They are pretty strong. So when you close it, right, you will not go anywhere. You will need to have certain force to pull it out. And when I open up the cover, you expose the cable mounting point for your cables, and you are provided with 5 Velcro stripes, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now with this, say right at the center portion over here, this is very unique, whereby you can unlock and remove it. See? And this clip is very unique, where it has 2 functions. Take a look at the inner. By the way, this is made of metal. The inner U shape, right, this is whereby you can cram all your fat cables in place and to put it back. There is a upper portion and a lower portion, so it's up to you where you want to place it. So once you have secured all the fat cables, right, you can just place in place. See, it's that easy. Else, for the outside where you have the Velcro stripe, this is meant for you to tie up your ARGB cable, your fan cables, and those thinner cables. So this is the ARGB cable, so we can just slot and to Velcro strap tightly. So it does a very neat arrangement. Now to my extreme right, where you see this metal piece over here, right, this in fact hold two hard disk cage where you have two caddies, and each caddy is able to hold a 3.5-inch hard disk or a 2.5-inch SSD. Same goes to the inner caddy. Now the total storage of this case, right, if you are not to remove this tray over here, the total 2.5-inch SSD will be 7. 3 over here, 2 over here, and 2 with the caddy itself. So total 7. If you want 3.5-inch, right, there will be 2 over here and 2 on the caddy, which is 2. So total 4. If you were to remove off this tray, right, then you'll be only able to mount 4 SSD, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, or 3.5-inch hard disk, there will be 2. That's all. Now, moving at the bottom section, this is meant for your PSU. As I mentioned to you, right, they have implemented this, which is protruding out. It's a good thing. And one thing good about this, right, you can interswitch with your hard disk caddy. Let's say you want your PSU to be at your hard disk location. You can unscrew this whole cage and to put it at the top. So your PSU will be at the top. Then you can move your hard disk caddy at the bottom. Now, having to say this, right, a lot will just dismantle this and to place your PSU. But I find a better way, which is just to slot your whole PSU in. Now, for the length of the PSU, right, I have to advise you not to go beyond 180. Take for example, this is a 200mm in length. If I have to slot it in, right, take a look at what happened. Now, first off, I will just remove this just to free up the space. I will slot this in. So when I slot this in, right, okay, this is direction. Now one thing good about this slot over here, right, there is a rest for the PSU. So you don't have to worry that, you know, you're holding it and it drops. You will just stay in place because it's resting on the standoff over there. See, it just goes in. Now having this 200mm in length, right, you might hit into the problem because all your plugs is quite near to the Velcro straps and such. And when you manage the cable, right, okay, let me just show you. So when you do the cable management properly and such, right, see, it might block because some of the connectors, right, are pretty, I should say pretty wide. I mean, you still can use it, but I find that it's kind of tight. I mean, the spacing. So that's why I advise that try not to use 200. I mean, you can use 200 in length PSU, but it's just that the spacing is not really that great. So I would advise probably stay at 180. To remove all the hard disk caddy, all is needed is just to remove these two thumb screws. So when you remove, right, all is needed is just to push the hard disk cage up. See, it will be out. Same goes to the second one. And to place it back, align all this to the holes over here. I start off with the internal, which is like this, and push it down. Same goes to the outer one. Align it, push it down. And to secure this, just place back the thumb screws, which is one over here and one over here. Now I place the case this way so that you can see clearly, whereby this bottom section here, this is the PSU and this is the hard disk cage. So if you want to interchange moving the PSU up and transfer the hard disk cage down, right, first thing you need to do is to remove 4 screws of each, which is here, 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 and here. So I remove them. Now for this side over here, right, be the top or the bottom, are these screws. And for the side, please be very careful because they are very tiny. Do not lose them. Alright. So once you have removed everything, right, you'll be able to swap, take it out and to swap. Then making use the screws that I've removed, tighten them back, and that will be done. Next will be the front tempered glass and the side tempered glass, where you have this frame over here. This can be removed so that it will give you a seamless look on the tempered glass. And to remove this stem here, right, there are 4 screws that you need to remove, which is this at the bottom, and over here. I've taken off the screws. So these are the screws that are holding the pillar. Once you have removed all the screws, you'll be able to take out this whole stem. And if you want it back, just place it at this position and to mount the screws. This is the front I/O socket, where you are provided with the USB Type-C, 2 USB Type-A, and a combo headphone microphone jack. And this whole unit, though it's facing the front, right, you can place it to the side, which is at the bottom. Now, in order to use all this socket over here, right, you will need to plug these cables to your motherboard. First off, the Type-C. This is the cable that you need to connect to your motherboard. And 2 USB Type-A. This is the cable that you need to connect. And for the audio combo jack, which is the headphone and microphone, you will need to plug this that says HD audio to your motherboard. In order to use the power switch and the reset switch, you will need to connect this cable that comes with the case, which says front panel, to your motherboard. So when you toggle the power switch, right, you will trigger the system to turn on, or if you want to reset, you press this and you will reset. As mentioned to you earlier, there is this ARGB buttons over here where you can control the mode, or should I say the effects and the color and the brightness. This is a built-in controller, but it needs power. So make sure that you connect this SATA connector, where you can find in the case, to your PSU. Then you'll be able to cycle the effects and to change the color and to change the brightness. Speaking of which, right, there are a total of 14 different ARGB effects that you can play with. And as for the brightness, it's ranged from 1 to 5. 1 as being the dimmest, 5 being the brightest. Now, in the event, if you choose not to make use of the controller, but you want to bypass the controller to control the strips from the top and the bottom of the case itself, right, you can connect to this 3-pin 5V connector to your motherboard. And to make use of this motherboard utility, right, to control the light strips on your case itself. This is the accessory box. When you unbox it, you'll be provided with an instruction manual. There is zip lock and all the instructions that you need to know to fiddle with this case. And there's an invert mode which I have not shown you. You can refer to this if you purchase the case, and to follow the instructions and to invert the case, having the glass panel over the other side instead of the left side. This box contains all the screws and such to mount your motherboard, to mount your hard disk, additional clips, and much more. Now, all this you can refer to the instruction manual and to go through with the quantity and such. And a thank you card in this box. This is the enhanced graphic card anti-sag bracket, which you will not get on the original EVO. And I like this mechanism. In fact, I've done an illustration on the EVO XL. If you guys are curious to know how this mechanism works, you can refer to that video. Just click on the top right hand corner and it will take you to the content, and you can see how this functions and how good this is, which is meant for your graphic card. And of course the two brackets which I show you how to mount the Liquid Freezer 2 420. Besides the general accessory box that you have, these are the add-ons where you can purchase them separately. This is the vertical mount bracket for your GPU, and this is the upright bracket, and this is the front mesh if you want more airflow. And for this, right, if your motherboard have an additional 3.0 header and you want to add more IO ports, you can purchase this and to mount this at the side. And I forgot to mention at the beginning of my intro, this case comes in two variants, which is black and white. For the black, the glass is tinted, else for the white is purely clear. Just wanted to show you the physical control of the ARGB. First of all, I'd like to mention that the diffusion of the ARGB at the top or at the bottom is nicely done. I can't see any LEDs at all. It's flawless. And speaking about flawless, right, I like the case joinings between the tempered glass. It's angled and it doesn't seem to have a gap, which is nicely crafted. Alright, just to show you the ARGB effect over here. As I mentioned, there are a total of 14 effects you can cycle. See? I can just go on and on and on. This is the next effect. So assuming that you have enjoyed one of the effects, let's say this, and you overshot and you want that back, then we have done the switch whereby you can toggle backwards where you press the down button key. See, I got my effect back. And on top of this, right, besides having this effects over here, you can also do coloring. See, I'm doing coloring right now. I can switch the, oh, I pressed the wrong button, so sorry about this. Okay, let me just bring you, okay, see, I can just press the color, it will just change. Okay, same effect but different color. Now I make a big mistake regarding about the brightness. It should be 1 to 4, right? 4 is the dimmest, and when you press to number 5, right, the ARGB will turn off. Let me just show you. Okay, this is number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See? So you can switch off the ARGB if you don't want to. Now, what do I think about this case itself? Basically, I would say that it's well built, well crafted. I like the subtle ARGB from the top and bottom. Okay, I don't really like this color. So sorry about this. Alright. As I mentioned, right, I like the diffusion of the ARGB, whereby I don't see the LEDs, which is very good. And this does give me a feeling of driving a vehicle, right, where you plug lights underneath your vehicle and it glows, like the bottom section. I like this too. And if I were to choose to build a system in this case, right, I will not overdose with ARGB inside. Most likely, I will build a theme build, as in like detail build, and to place just a white light strip, as based on the fact that these are tinted glass. So when there are no lights inside, right, you can't see the you can't see the inside at all. But when there is a white light brighten up, right, all your components, whatever detail you have done on your PC components, like the theming for, you know, gunmetal, silver, black and such, it will definitely pop off from the tinted glass. And with the subtle ARGB effect, wow, that is fantastic, elegant, I like. Okay, now back to the case, not going to drift off topic. Things that I like, well, the modularity, the structure, the seamless cut between the glass, as in like when they join together, right, it's flawless. It doesn't have gap. The ARGB diffusion, well done. Modularity on the bottom case, bottom section where you can remove the tray to fit your fans and such. Same goes to the top, same goes to the side. And I like the fact that on the back panel itself, well ventilated. Same goes to the back, and especially for the PSU shroud, it's offset out of the case, whereby you can place a 200mm length PSU, which I tried on the original EVO. I can't do that because it exceeded and I can't do the cable measurement. But of course, I would to advise you guys, if you want to place a long PSU, right, try to set it at 180mm and not 200, because 200, yes, you can fit, but you're gonna have a lot of difficulties like arranging the cables. If let's say you have a lot of cables, especially when you feeder with ARGBs and stuff, right, it's gonna be a nightmare for you. Alright, with this said, I'd like to thank Lian to have provided this case for me. Oh, sorry, before I say this, one main point about this case itself, right, I am able to mount a 420 liquid freezer too. Whew. All the cases I tried to mount that, not possible. It's only the Lian 3 and this case, and also the EVO XL. Other than that, right, whatever case I try to fit, it doesn't fit, though the specs state that it's 420. So that's a letdown, based on the fact that Arctic Liquid Freezer 2, right, has a very thick radiator. So most of the time it's hitting the tall VRM of the motherboard or the rear IO, which this, right, have plenty of space. Love it so much. Okay, now with this said, I'd like to thank Lian to have provided this case for me to share with you guys, and to Block Soda to have done the arrangement on the delivery. And for those of you actually new to my channel, welcome to my channel. If you like my content, do remember to subscribe and to click on the notification bell button. Till then, take care, goodbye, see ya.